So thank you so much for joining us on the second episode of Teen Talks powered by Inertia Teens. Today's episode is with round of applause, Melissa, aka Legally Productive. She's a sophomore in college and currently in law school, a reading enthusiast and a bujo lover. And I'm so happy to be with you today. And if you don't know already, we are amazing friends, and I absolutely adore her work so much. And her humble and kind personality is so moving to me. Thank you
Thank you.
so much for joining.
I'm really happy to be here too.
Could you please tell us all a little about yourself?
Well, I am a Swiftie. I think that's one of my most defining characteristics. I sing Taylor Swift. I think like Taylor Swift. I am obsessed with Taylor Swift. I am not the only one. I'm also a believer. I have kind of like professed my faith ever since I was little, but only in this past 4 or 5 years have I gotten really into knowing God and like developing a relationship with Him. Um, I have a Chihuahua. Right now, I'm in college, so I don't have her with me, or else I would show her to you. But yeah, so I'm a Chihuahua mother, and yeah, I think that's it. I love reading, by the way.
Yes, so what is the story behind your amazing Bookstagram? I've seen it and I personally enjoy all your reading related content.
So I started my Instagram around August last year, I believe. So it's been a little bit over a year. And I started college around the same time. So this happened in kind of like the thick of quarantine, um, when I felt like I had no motivation and my life had just come to a stop. And I would see like accounts where they would post like them studying, even if they were online. And since that transition was the timing and everything, it just wasn't for me. It really took an impact on my mental health. So I was like, I might as well just start something that I wanted to do for a long time and just share content that makes me happy and that will keep me motivated, and hoped that it would motivate me, and it did. And now it's kind of become like a place that I just go to relate to people and to look for inspo. So yeah, that's really nice.
That is such a great story. And I know sometimes maintaining a wonderful social media presence is very hard. And with COVID and everything, how do you take care of your mental health? Like being on internet and especially Instagram as a teenager or young adult is very tough. And along with that, you're managing your studies and other commitments. So how do you feel about that?
I look at Instagram as a chore, but also as fun. So like I kind of divide up my time. I, like I was mentioning, I look at posts mainly on my study account, to feel inspired and to feel kind of like seen and related to. So I usually do that at night, when I'm like in my bed all cozied up. It's like the end of the day. I am tired, but I'm like looking forward to more inspiration for the next day. On my personal account, I do follow some like I would say Instagram models, or like prominent people, but throughout the years, I've learned that you kind of have to have a balance and know who to follow. So I don't follow any dieting accounts, for example, because I know that that might trigger something in me. I follow all these girls, not because of what they look like, but because of what their personas are. Like I love the positivity that they inspire me to be, or most of them are also related to Christian content. So I that is like the nice, I would say, hobby side of Instagram, and the chore part of Instagram, editing, keeping up with kind of like the accounts and like making sure that you're not messing up on content that you are creating, because I have a blog and all that stuff. I usually do sprinkle it between my work, like my schoolwork. But I also know that my schoolwork comes first. So I make my schoolwork a priority, and then I kind of reward myself by writing a blog or editing a picture. Or it's kind of like finding that balance to where it doesn't seem frustrated or almost like forced by you, but you're also having fun, even if it's a chore, you know?
Yes, that definitely makes sense. And I think the balance is really important in anything we do in life. And
Mhm.
you have been very open with your struggles on social media. I think this is such a huge step to making media like a healthier place where you can share your problems or be vulnerable, basically. Like in such a perfect world, you do not find that. So do you think it causes some kind of vulnerability? And if so, then how do you maintain that healthy boundary which you want?
Um, well, I've gone into this in my blog posts, and I share some of some issues that I've had that I'm sure everybody else does to some degree. Um, for example, grieving about a family member I lost, or my body weight issues. And I don't think I saw it as often when I was like 12, 13. I'm 19 now. But it wasn't until like 2 or 3 years that I started seeing the people I follow actually talking about those struggles. And that kind of motivated me to say, well, those things, those issues that you're going through can help people that have maybe no representation or haven't heard that their feelings are valid. Because for me, as a 13-year-old, I had no idea that feeling uncomfortable in your body was something natural, because everybody out there was just in love with their body and like dressing it up. So I felt like the purpose of those kind of like struggles was for me to talk about them and hope that at least one person felt a little bit more seen or heard by them. And that's what kind of like inspired me to, more than vulnerability, see it as a strength and something that I can contribute to for society in general.
Yes, I think I definitely agree to that. And I found your page like last year, and I've gone through every one of your blogs time to time. I think it has given me the strength to look up to you as a role model and learn from your experiences as well. So I think, you are like a big sister to me. And it is
Thank you.
so like the first time when I saw your pages, and what I found was being vulnerable on social media is not often seen, but it is definitely valid. And someone so strongly talking about it is something that we really need in mental health platforms. And I think that is really important for teenagers as well, to see not only the perfect side of social media but what is going like behind it. If someone puts up a post, I think on social media, like the pretty models, people usually see their outer cover, you can say, but not the editing and all the hard work that goes into it. So I think like it is our duty right now, like the Gen Z, to show that to the upcoming teenagers and kids. And now for most of us, COVID-19 has like drastically changed our lives, and there was like a lot of uncertainty. And as you had mentioned in your podcast Meg Gets Real episode, which was related to anxiety and anxiety about future, you had mentioned about the plan of God, which was the ultimate will. And I was really fascinated by the idea. So could you please elaborate on that?
Well, it's funny because I think it was Thursday. I was seeing a YouTuber I follow also talk about this. Um, I think God works in the most strange times. Like everything around you is just kind of like pressing and crumbling, and you hear like a soft voice that tells you you should try this, and you're like, can I really handle it? And at the time, I think that was what happened to me. I am a really tied up person. I want to keep track of everything. I have habit trackers, I have like journals. I want to keep track of everything. And for the most part of my life until I was 17, I thought that I had my life figured out. I had a timeline. I wanted to get married at 24. I wanted to have children by 28. I knew things that I wanted to do in between. And, you know, my life drastically changed when I lost someone really important to me. So I kind of like had to take a step back and be like, okay, but all those things, but they really make me happy. And not only that, but are they what God intended me to do? Like, I was so caught up in my idea of what I wanted to do that I never thought of what He wanted to do with me. And so I started to kind of like tap more into the Bible and what it says about God's ultimate plan. And I was in the midst of like such tremendous change that I didn't know what was happening. I got, I don't know if any of the ones seeing this have read that blog, but in case you didn't know, I was originally going to medical school, and that was something that I had planned for I want to say like 5 6 years. Um, and then I changed in like 2 months, and that can be such a terrible thing because like all your mindset and energy is pushed towards this goal, and then you change it from almost night to day. And what they don't tell you is that when God puts something that in your heart that you have to do, it comes with such calmness. Like it almost feels right. Not the circumstances around you, but you yourself. Like when I made the decision to change from medicine to law school, I didn't feel afraid. I was calm, and I didn't know how that would work out, but I was like, God, this is really you. You're gonna open up all the doors for me. And so He did. And even in spiritual battle, He kept showing me that that is what He intended for me. And He started opening doors and showing me that He wanted me to be here. And then because this is the first semester that I'm in college because of the pandemic and everything. I moved to another city. I'm living on my own now. And for the first month there, I was so sad and I felt so kind of like lonely that I was like, did I make a mistake? Did I mislisten? Is this not what you wanted? And I felt like God was telling me, like, wait a little bit. I'm gonna make this the greatest thing that has happened to you. And I started to lean more on Him and started to pray for grace and for acceptance and for gratefulness, because everything that has been given to me, I understand that it comes from Him. And I let time pass, a couple of weeks where I was feeling my lowest. And then it started to pick up from there. I met a friend. I started feeling like at peace and finally like I belong here. And so my biggest tip would be to just, it's okay to have ambitions, but listen to what God says about those ambitions. Because if I had chosen medicine, I know I wouldn't have been happy. And that is something that I have been praying to God about for like my entire youth. And like He was like, no, you wouldn't be happy there. I'm going to move you into law school. And also, I firmly want to say that it's okay if you don't know what God wants you to do. Like, it's not something that will be revealed to you in like a rainbow kind of way. It's more like a thought, and it's timing is everything for Him. Because if the timing hadn't been with me, I don't know I would have made the right choice. But trust Him, keep praying about it, and the greatest blessings that God gives you are amidst chaos. When everything else is just failing, that's kind of like an invitation to trust Him and like take your hand and lead you to something else, something good that comes out of that bad thing. And it transforms you and your faith in ways that you can't imagine. And that's when you really see God.
That is so moving. I really liked how you shared your personal experience. And one of the close people I know always says, if God's plan is like ultimate, and if you want something and God is not willing to do that, it wouldn't happen. And if there is some way in that, it might happen in seconds. Like if a work you want to do is like not happening from years, if God wills, it might happen in seconds. But if not, then it is going to be like that. And I think your story is like a very good tip and inspiration to all the people who has been through this. And I think with pandemic there is so much uncertainty about future, and what might happen. All our plans were like abruptly cancelled.
Yeah.
And I think I wouldn't be here if it wasn't pandemic, and you wouldn't be here. I think we wouldn't have met. Everything is such a, mystery, you can say. We never
Yeah,
know.
it's just like a domino. Like God intended that little situation to skyrocket to this one, and from this one he took this, and like it's just all connected, and that's the way God works. That's why it's beautiful.
Yes, it is so beautiful. Also, I have read your blog post about acceptance and body positivity. Many teenagers fall into this trap of hating their bodies, I can say, by seeing so many perfect Instagram models. And your post was very honest, and it made me realize and made me emotional too. I think that time when I read it for the first time, this thought came to mind was, I feel we all are strong women with curves, stretch marks, and fat. But why do people do not teach this to teenagers to be just proud of their bodies and everything that is going on? It just, I think all the preteens who are there on social media, they do not see what is going behind these Instagram models. They have dietitians, they work out or whatever it is. They are rich, you can say, and privileged to look like that. But I think normalizing body positivity is something I really learned from you. And could you please elaborate on that?
Yeah. So as I was mentioning in my blog post, I struggled a lot with mental image and physical image too. Um, During high school mostly, and just like this last, I want to say year, like 2020 was, it revealed so much to me, I think to everybody. But mostly it was kind of like one of those areas in your life that you never think of bringing up to God, because you're like, oh, I mean, it's my body and it's the way other people perceive it. So like, what does that have to do with God? And and I don't know. I was generally concerned that I hadn't thought of mentioning it to God, because God says that He wants to be involved in every single thing of your life, no matter how small. So one day I just sat down and I told Him, hey, I feel this way. I don't like my body. I don't know what to do. I'm dieting again. I don't like it. I'm not happy. Like, what do I do? And from there, God told me, or I felt, it almost feels like He talks to me, but like, it's that spiritual kind of like wisdom that He gives you, the Spirit, essentially. And it told me kind of like, you're putting so much struggle in yourself, and that is not what I'm looking at for you. You are much more than just your body. You are the actions that you do, the thoughts that you have, the faith that you have. And the body that you're complaining about, I gave it to you and I love it so much. And I gave you those hip dips. I gave you those, I don't know, like maybe if you have a crooked nose or what, I made you like I wanted you to look, and you're made in my image. So you are loved. Like no matter what people say, I love you because you represent me. And so that gave me such a peaceful mind, because I was like, I could do diets and I could spend 2 hours at the gym every day, but that is not me. And I would be unhappy. And I wouldn't be doing it for the right reason. I would be doing it for what other people have to say about me, but that is also like vanity. And that is not what God wants. And so ever since then, I have just made it a priority to be grateful and thank God about my body. And like I thank Him for my legs, for like my stretch. I thank Him for everything, like for my heart, for I don't know. I make it a priority to, in, for all those years that I hated my body, I'm trying to love it more every day. And that sounds so cliche, but I mean, if you're not gonna love your body, there's God to love your body, and He already does. So just think about that, write it and post it somewhere, because God is really proud of how beautiful you are and what He did with you. So
No, it's not cliche. I think we should talk about it a little more than what it is. And I think, you know, what you had mentioned about how our bodies are like, yesterday I was being so fascinated by the idea that, our eyes, they are made in such a way that our eyelids close after a few seconds automatically, and the eyelashes, they curl up in the air by its own. So there is so much beauty in these things that we forget to be grateful about. And these Instagram models, they put so much filter and hide what they are. I think makeup and whatever you're doing should make you feel confident in your own skin rather than hiding your flaws or insecurities. And I think that is not really talked about. And teenagers often think of makeup as a concealer rather than something that brings out your confidence. So that is very important for us and people who have gone through it to speak about it. And I think it is, you know God might have given us the message so that we can spread it to the world.
Yeah, and here's the thing: if somebody doesn't love you or doesn't want to be around you because of the way you look or the way you act, God already like loves you and like prepared you for that. And so if any person in your life meaningful enough is meant to stay, they're gonna love you for who you are, not asking you to commit to like really strong diets or really strong exercises that won't make you happy. They want your happiness. And if that happiness comes out from having, I don't know, ice cream every now and then, and that's why you don't have a six pack, well, you're happy and you look your most beautiful when you're happy. So,
Yes, that is so true. And I think the happiness or the spark that comes from inside is not something that, you know, you feel happy about your body, about what you are, how you speak, how you feel, everything around you. And that is such a beautiful thing in itself, how your skin looks like, or anything. And I think if you're happy about anything in your body, then if people are going to say something, it's their job to say. And you know even after doing diets, people will have something to say about your body. And I think you should just let them go, because it's not their choice, you can say, to comment on that.
you
And
can never please people 100%.
yes, that is so true. And in your podcast episode about grieving, I had seen that you had talked about identity, identifying emotions, you can say, and taking time to process it. I think these days people have such fast paced lives, and with social media or technology, people see others getting over something that is very hard very easily. It feels very easy, or being strong no matter what happens in your life. And I think that is something which we should talk about. And I have gone through it, and I feel people really think that not showing emotions is something that is being strong, which is absolutely wrong. So what are your thoughts on this, and how did you overcome that pressure?
God gave us such an amazing brain to also make us be emotional beings. Faith is exercised through not only knowing that God exists, but also feeling what those feelings that He gives you, like that warm, fuzzy feeling when you're worshiping or when you're at your weakest and you cry in front of Him. Like God loves you vulnerable and He loves you happy too. And so for me, I am also like a really go, go, go person. But I try my hardest to take at least 10 minutes every day to either journal about it when I'm feeling, even if it's something good. I just want to place it somewhere so it goes out of my head and into something more concrete. And also praying. Praying is, I always say this, but God is my therapist. God has been through some real with me. And in those conversations that I do immediately after studying the Bible for like 10, 15 minutes a day, that is when I'm my most real sense. I am vulnerable. I tell Him didn't like this from today, and I love this from today. And it's kind of like finding a way to sit down, acknowledge what you feel, know that whatever it is, it's correct. And even if it's not, God will help you correct it. And, when you're with God or when you're writing things down by yourself, you're not being judged. Everybody goes through emotions, whether good or bad. And of course, they might not tell you about it because it's personal, but that doesn't make them not exist. Even if you see a man that hasn't cried like in decades and he prides himself off of that, like you don't know the thoughts he has, you don't know the struggles that he's gone through. And well, for me personally, my solace is God, and I go to Him every day. But therapists might also help your very best friend or your mother, or like even to yourself. Like you can just record a voice note and just rant, and that also does help a lot. And saying them aloud, I think, makes them be real. It makes you be less afraid, and makes you a little bit braver, if you want to say so. And it's kind of like a habit to let your emotions flow like they should. And I think that's what music's for too, poetry. Just find some way of escaping and like putting your thoughts out there, because if you don't, you're just going to drown in them.
I definitely agree. And being a poet, I can't agree more to, processing every emotion you feel. Some might be very anxious, some might be really happy, and some are like butterflies in the stomach. I'm nervous and excited at the same time. What is the best thing that you can do is find a escape mechanism. It can be music or journaling or whatever you like you had said. The voice note thing is like, I think, magic, and no one is going to listen to you, but just saying it aloud or writing it out what you feel, that really helps you process what is going on rather than just overthinking about it. And I had read it somewhere which was that uh, you know like put out a time for yourself to overthink, like 10 minutes or 15 minutes a day. And then if you're thinking about it throughout the day, what you can do is, okay, I'll think about it in my overthinking time. So that really helps a lot too. It's just that during that time you can write it down or feel what you're thinking, and that helps in grieving and processing emotions. And I think people should normalize taking a break from their lives when something traumatic happens. And I think in this fast pacing world, we are always running behind productivity or positivity, you can say. So, one more question which I would like to ask you is, how do you be your very authentic self and stay away from, everything that is manipulative in the world, you can say, like people or thoughts? And how do you connect yourself to, your authentic self to God?
It's a tough time because well, for me, I guess every teenager has been like really deep in social media, and so we kind of start sharing the same thoughts and the same ideas. But sometimes they not only go against God's word, but they also don't make you feel very happy with your life. So I've been praying for discernment when it comes to either people around my life that are not contributing to happiness, or like I'm giving them more power than they should have, because like I know that my happiness should come from God and not something like materialistic. Um, and also just being able to say to yourself, like, I don't want to have those thoughts. And if you're thinking, a bad thought, you can just like stop and like literally just say out loud, like, that is not my thought. Because, well, I think I've spoken about this in a podcast. The devil will try to counter react everything that God says. So if you start loving your body, the next day you're gonna, I don't know, like gain weight or something. And it's not even like, it's not real. It's like water weight. It's something that the devil finds to like spin things in this narrative and make you feel like you thought you were pretty, but you were wrong. or you thought that this was what God wanted, but you were wrong. And those are not your thoughts. Your thoughts are yours in the sense that they have the grace to make you feel better. And now I have bad thoughts and thoughts that are not 100% with what Jesus says. Everybody does. And just because we're human, like that doesn't mean we're perfect. That is what Jesus is for. It's like cover up for our sins. And so as long as you acknowledge that you're still far away from perfection and thoughts and ways, God has a space to change that. And because really your thoughts are what makes you see life like that. So surround yourself with not only the word, but also people that contribute to the way you want to see the world. Every day I have like this ongoing task list, and I feel like God gives me the grace to finish it because I always place like, I don't know, a Bible verse right here. And it's keeping God constantly in your life. And I'm walking on campus and I'm like, thank you, God, for bringing me here. I'm tired. My back is aching, but you put me here and I'm so grateful for that. And when you're having those not very nice thoughts, just let God know. And He appreciates that honesty because He just wants an honest relationship with you. He's like, I don't know, He's your best friend and He won't judge you and He's there to correct you. And I think there's a Bible verse that says when He corrects you, it's because He loves you. And that couldn't be more the truth. So
I think that is so true. And thank you for putting out this wonderful, beautiful narrative which you give. It is so important to, put forward what bad thoughts are. Like, I think that is a part of your growth, and even sad thoughts or things are part of your, process of getting closer to what you want, you can say, if that makes sense. And I think being authentic is so hard in such a world where people have like preferences. I used to feel quite nervous while talking because I wasn't, proud of my accent or something like that. So getting comfortable with what you are is really important, and I think like the Almighty really helps in that. So if you could say something to your younger self about any myth related to mental health which you came across, what would that be? And this is like our Teen Talk special question, which we ask all the guests.
healing isn't a straight process. It is not a straight line where you start here and you end up here. It has so many ups and downs. And with that comes frustration and it comes desperation because you just want to get over things. And I get that. You want to be happy, but you can also find happiness when you're really sad. And you can also find hope when you're sad. And I think that that's the hardest parts of your life is when God is closest to you. So like for me, I've been battling grief for almost 2 years, and I'm definitely better than I was day one. But that doesn't mean, I'm sorry, that some days I don't wake up and I just want to cry my eyes out, and that is okay because everything is a process, but it's not a straight line process. And not only God, but people in your life are going to be there to take your hand and show you that everything in life is just transitory. And so you're going to have great days, you're going to have bad days. Be patient with yourself, be kind to yourself. And what you see in social media is just kind of like an embellished, photoshopped version of emotions in life. And I'm not saying everybody there just posts that, but like just take your time to think. And this is something my therapist taught me, like that person that you want to be so badly, would you change everything around you if you knew their entire circumstance, like their relationship with their brother, their relationship with their father? Like you want their body or you want their career, but like what about everything else? Would you trade yourself with that person if you knew everything? And I at least wouldn't. I love my brother, I love my boyfriend, I love everybody around me. So um, yeah, just keep that in mind and be patient with yourself.
That is such a, you know, beautiful thing to say. And I think there is a story in Hindi, which is my mother tongue, which says that even in the darkest situation, you might find that one spark that will get you through the bad day. And Almighty's sign, that one little thing, like there was this whole story I had learned where, you know, one spark really saved someone's day. And that is around everything in life, that small pleasures or small happiness. And like you said, celebrity culture or the Instagram thing, like entirely just represents the best of their life, and I wouldn't trade anything for that. And I think people should, you know, process it and understand that not everything between you and that person is same. You might want their career or body, but you know, everything, like the situation in life are different. Some people are like little privileged than you are, or maybe they have something that you don't, or maybe you have something that they don't. And you know, with so many famous people, it's like they do not get the peaceful sleep that you have, or something very small that you have. And people are literally ready to pay a lot for that, but they wouldn't get it. So enjoying like what is going on in the moment is really important, rather than thinking about what might happen or what you want to happen. And lastly, would you like to say something to our audience about Inertia teams?
Um, if there's something that you really enjoy doing, even if people tell you that it has no value or whatever, do it anyway. Because, and I believe that God gives each of us a special talent. And even if you don't create this big organization that helps a million people, you can change just one life. And that life going to be changed forever. And they're going to like remember you and um, go ahead and do what you feel like doing, because when your heart speaks, that is often an outlet to help other people. And don't be afraid of making mistakes along the way or like taking your time perfecting your craft. Um, if you're scared, do it anyway, because then you're gonna regret it when you're like 90 years old and you're looking back in your life and you're gonna be like, why didn't I write this? Or why didn't I post this? And you know, life is all about making mistakes and just learning from them. So if you're scared, do it anyway.
So thank you so much for being an amazing part of the show. And we learned a lot today, and it is really important for us to process it and implement in our lives. And you were right about changing that one person's life. You have definitely influenced my life in many ways, and I'm sure this episode would do that to others too. You're such a sparkling vibrant personality, and it
Thank you.
was it was my pleasure to have you here.
Oh my God, I'm so grateful and so happy that you have me here. Yeah, I just, hands down, this is one of the best opportunities that has been given to me. So thank you so much.
Thank you again. So, we'll see you all in another episode of Teen Talks. Till then, you can watch our old videos here.
Subscribe.
Yes, subscribe. You heard her. Subscribe. Thank you. I feel we all are strong women with curves, stretch marks, and fat.